Hello, beautiful people. It's Karen here. I hope you are having a sublime day. Today, we are going to make one of my favorite chicken dishes. It's stuffed chicken, and we're stuffing the chicken with buttered apples, brie, and toasted almonds. So let's go take a look at the ingredients that we'll need to make this dish. The things that you'll need for this dish are chicken, of course. I am actually using a boneless thigh in order to make this dish. You can use the breast if you'd like, but I typically use the thigh in these types of dishes because the thigh is a lot more flavorful. But if you'd like the breast, use the breast. You will need some apples. You'll need some butter. We're going to saute the apples in butter, so we're going to actually butter the apples before we put them into the chicken. You'll need some almonds. I'm using raw almonds, and we're going to toast these off in a skillet prior to stuffing the chicken with them. You'll also need some brie. Now, when you're doing the mixture of the toasting of the almonds and buttering of the apples, you can actually do that step ahead. You can do it a couple days ahead if you'd like and have it set aside. And then the only thing you need to do is stuff your chicken and cook it off. Prior to beginning your preparation, you want to cut a few slices of the brie and put it in the freezer. I typically put it in a plastic baggie because then it's easy to simply take out and put in your chicken mixture once you're ready to do your stuffing. Here I have about a 1/4 cup of sliced almonds, and I am just toasting them in the skillet. I have no oil in the skillet. It's just the plain almonds, and I'm going to toast them off in the skillet. This should take about 5 minutes or so. You want to make sure that you do not burn the almonds, however. You want to peel, core, and cut your apple into small cubes. Just a little tip, I typically do twice as much apple as I'm going to need because I find that when I'm eating this dish, I always want a little bit more of the buttered apple, but it's up to you. So for 4 pieces of chicken, you would typically need about 1 apple, and that would give you a little bit of extra to go around because you want to be generous when you're putting the apple in the chicken, but you don't want to overstuff it. So, little tip. Once you're ready to saute your apples, you can simply toss them into the same skillet that you use to toast the almonds. So there's no need to dirty up a different skillet. Just toss in your butter and add your apples. You want to saute these apples for about 5 minutes until they're nice and soft and all the butter has really incorporated into your apples so that you've really got a buttered apple mixture. And these buttered apples are great as a side to breakfast or topping a nice luscious bowl of ice cream. At this point, we have our brie in the freezer. We have toasted off our almonds. We have sauteed our apples in butter. And the last thing we need to do is to make a pocket in our chicken. So let's get started with that. When you are making a pocket in chicken, you want to place your hand on the top of the chicken and let your knife do all the work. So initially what you want to do is you want to make a small slit in the chicken. Once you've made your slit, now you can pull that up so that you can see what you're doing, so that you can open up the cavity a little bit deeper. And that way you can make the cavity as large or as small as you like. So let's finish that off. I'm going to grab the brie out of the freezer, and I will show you the steps that we're going to do in order to stuff this and finish it in the skillet. I've just pulled the brie out of the freezer and it's slightly stiff but not completely frozen. So that's the exact consistency that we want for the brie prior to stuffing it. When you are assembling this, you want to put your brie in first, then you want to put your almonds in, and the last thing you want to do is put your buttered apples in. You can use a couple of toothpicks to hold this together if you like, but it's not necessary. I typically do because I like all of my ingredients to stay in the chicken as much as possible. So let's get started. So I'm going to put the brie in there. Going to stuff some almonds. And lastly, going to put the apples in there. As I said, I pulled a couple of toothpicks that I'm going to close this up with. After you stuff the chicken, you want to salt and pepper it and get it ready to put into your skillet. We're going to use the same skillet that we used to toast the almonds and to saute the apples. We are going to use a bit of butter and a bit of olive oil. You'll need a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of olive oil. You want to get that hot, and at that point, we will pop in the chicken. You want to cook it for about 4 minutes on one side and flip it, and cook it for about 3 to 4 minutes on the other side. So there you have your chicken stuffed with apples, brie, and toasted almonds. When you're pairing this, you probably want to pair it with a spring mix because you want to add something such as a vinaigrette. I'm doing a balsamic vinaigrette here. You want a vinaigrette of some sort because you need some acid, because this is a very rich dish with a combination of the buttered apples and the brie. So you need something that's going to cut it. If you're going to do a wine, you probably also want to do something such as a white wine as opposed to a red, because again, you want something light. A Sauvignon Blanc is probably going to be your best bet, or something such as that, because you don't want something like a Chardonnay, because again, that's buttery and you've got enough fat going on in here. So make it and enjoy. Hello, beautiful people. It's Karen. I hope you enjoyed the recipe for chicken stuffed with apples, brie, and toasted almonds. If you did, please hit the subscribe button so that you never miss another one of my videos. Until we meet again, think sublime thoughts.